right? So my name is Josh Fazio. I'm from Guidance Software. Does anybody know what Guidance Software does? This is a trick question. You? Beck? What's that? Yeah, Ncase. All right. So yes, we are the makers of Ncase. We're probably best known for forensics, but today we're going to talk a couple different little subjects here. So, of course, this PowerPoint was put together by the Guidance Software marketing team. Nothing against marketing teams, but not my first choice. So one of the things we're going to talk about that I really like to talk about is return on investment. So everybody here probably has every tool under the sun, right? So Palo Alto, SourceFire, Blue Coat, ArcSight, HP, Splunk, FireEye, Logarithm, Lastline, threat feeds under the sun. You have basically everything in your environment. So I go to a lot of different places. I talk to a lot of different people, and I say, well, how are you doing it today? Oh yeah, man, we got all these great tools. A, B, C, and D. All right, are you using them? Oh, no, they're not deployed. Not deployed. Oh my Lord. Okay. So one of the products that we use endpoint security, and so that's from Guidance Software. And so one of the things that we do is integration. So we're going to talk a lot about integrations and using your existing tools today. Expanding the window of exposure. Again, you've probably seen this slide 60 times today in 20 different formats. Just talking about 206 days to detection, 21 to 35 days average breach resolution. So, you can break it up any way you want. It's bad all the way around, right? Again, quickly closing the window of exposure. So, time to detection, time to response. Net results are lower cost. So, I don't care what tools you're using, use your tools, right? So if you've got a SIM tool or a IDS or whatever it is, let's use those tools. Let's train on those tools. Let's figure out how they work. Let's take these feeds and let's do something with it. I heard, the last guy, the Tanium guy, talk about, you can generate all this great information, all these logs, all these different things, but if nobody's looking at it or nobody's interpreting it, you're basically lost. I heard a great comment from Krebs. Everybody knows Krebs, right? And he said something, and I think it fits in really great with this crowd and this group of people at this conference. And that's the last line of defense is the human. I don't care what tools you guys are using. You can be using the greatest new detection, enhancement, find, do whatever. If you guys don't know how to use it, if you're not trained in it, it's useless, right? It checks a box maybe, but it's not helping you. So let's take a look at the tools you have. Get assessments. I saw the red and the blue team guys. That was a fantastic presentation. It was great for me to see, how they're coming at both ends and attacking your network and defending your network. But they're relying on different tools. And, you have a toolbox. Get outside your toolbox. Try other things. There's great open source stuff. There's all kinds of things. And try to find tools that are flexible. Tools that allow you to use the tools that you've paid millions of dollars for and the tools that you have in the open source community and bring them all together and be able to take action on information. So let's kind of go forward here. I'm going to skip through a lot of these because they're kind of marketing. So one of the ones we talk about today is, one of the integrations we have is with Blue Coat. Everybody's probably familiar with Blue Coat. So basically, Blue Coat can generate a lot of information. It can monitor your network. It's looking at all these logs. It's looking at all this different stuff. But, we need to be able to take action on all that information. So let's kind of go right to, you've probably seen this a million times. This is great. I love talking about this slide because this is the 360-degree visibility. Now, I've seen pyramids, I've seen squares, I've seen triangles, I've seen upside-down triangles, I've seen two triangles together. Any way you look at it, it's basically the attack cycle. Everybody knows what the attack cycle is, so I don't need to market you to death with that. So let's kind of just look at, I'm going to skip through some of this stuff. All right, so this is kind of what some of the architecture looks like. So some of this stuff would be, your Blue Coat boxes, your security analytics that are coming in. And I don't care really what it is. If it's whether it be Blue Coat or, maybe you're using Splunk as a SIM, or whatever you're using for alerting, IDS, IPS, it doesn't really matter to me. But what matters to me is that you're collecting all this information and you're doing something with it. So basically all this information is feeding into, we show here the EnCase endpoint security tool. And so that's really where our forensic heritage and your forensic knowledge really comes into place. So we want to be able to take all this information and go out and collect volatile data, because that's really what it's all about today, right? So we want to find all that volatile data, and then we want to be able to look at it and do something with it, take action. So we get these alerts. The other thing we want to be able to do is tune these machines so that they become more cost effective, because they're generating thousands and thousands and thousands of alerts. That's not really doing you guys any good. So what we're doing is we're taking all that information, we're getting into our endpoint security tool, we're looking at it, we're looking at RAM, we're looking at processes, and then we're able to tune our security tools to maybe go from thousands of alerts to maybe 50 or 30. Because that's really the goal we want to get to, because security teams are anywhere from, I work with customers where the security team is a man of one, with security teams that are thousands. So you really need to be able to take advantage of the tools you have, return on investment. We'll talk a lot about that. We'll keep going here. So some of the Blue Coat stuff here is pretty cool. Blue Coat basically finds something bad, tells EnCase endpoint security, hey, I need you to go out and take a snapshot. When we talk about snapshot, that's going out to the host or to a server and grabbing all the volatile data from that machine, and then being able to look at that volatile data and maybe compare it against something previous. Like maybe this alert came in on Friday, you have a scan that you took from the day before, you can delta those two scans and be able to really get quick, actionable information. The other thing we hear a lot about is active intel and being able to generate your own intelligence. So we give you the ability, we have like a contextual data builder, so we give you the ability to take some of those indicators, dump them into our contextual data builder, and build actual actionable intelligence. We also have very good integration with open source tools like Volatility, Reg-Ripper, all these great forensic tools that you guys are using. So you can use those great open source tools, leverage our tool, and basically turn it into an enterprise tool. So let's say you got Volatility, and you want to collect RAM and run Volatility against 4,000 machines. You could go ahead and put in a set of IPs or machine names. Our tool will go out, grab all that, run Volatility against it, and put the results somewhere for you. So makes it really flexible. Open APIs. So I don't really care if it's, if it's FireEye, if it's Blue Coat, Palo Alto, whatever you're using, I don't care. I can integrate with it and bring more value to the tools you've already spent money on. And that's the name of the game. So, like here, this is we're reviewing some RAM in the EnCase web client. So we're looking at processes. We can look at open files. We can look at accounts. We give you the ability to do a lot of things in your environment. I heard somebody in a talk about PII. You want to know where your bad stuff is. So you've been breached. You know where you were attacked. So now let's go out. Let's create a PII scan and see what's actually there. What credit card information, social security numbers, all that great stuff. Let's find out where it is, what it is. Let's look at the registry. Let's be able to do entropy scans. So this is really cool. So we find a breach. We find a piece of malware. I know somebody said there hasn't been a 0 day in a long time, but let's just pretend. Today there was a 0 day, and nobody else has seen this thing. So we all know we can't rely on hashes, we can't rely on signatures. So we can use our entropy scans to be able to look at these things at the block level. So when they change, when they pack, they unpack, they become different, we can run this entropy scan and actually look at those blocks and then score them from 100 down to 5 and make some decisions. We also give you true remediation. So I find it really funny. I've had, I don't know, maybe in the last 3 months I've seen 300 customers, and every time I ask them, what's their definition of remediation? Let's pick on somebody. Somebody's close. How about this guy in the red sweatshirt right here? What's your definition of remediation? Nuking the machine? Yeah, well, I guess that works too. Anybody else? Give me anybody. What's your definition of remediation? Okay, I've heard that one before. Anybody else? What's that? Okay, yeah. I've also heard patching, right? Go ahead. Absolutely, that's a good one. So we do remediation a little bit different. We take a couple different phase approach to it. So everybody knows NCASE. We have a forensic heritage. We wipe this stuff. It's a forensic level wipe. It's gone. So, but what we do is we collect it first. We put it in what we call a logical evidence file. CRC'd, hashed, everybody's familiar with that. So then we can put that away. So when the FBI comes knocking at your door, or any three-letter agency, or you get sued, you've got that information, right? So to be able to go from finding the malware to being able to do an entropy scan, and then being able to go out and remediate all your files, including the registry, and get you back to a known good. Because, you know, a lot of companies just do rip and replace. Rip and replace costs thousands of dollars. So we want to get you back up and running very quickly, be able to remediate this stuff, keep critical business infrastructure up and running. Does that make sense? I think everybody likes to save a little money. We already talked about this a little bit. Determining sensitive data impact, finding out where your information is, where are your credit cards, you have an endpoint that's been hacked, and maybe that guy's been, in charge of the help desk and resetting passwords. And he keeps a folder on his desktop called Reset Passwords. Believe it or not, true story, just saw it a couple weeks ago. So very important to be able to find this stuff. And then remediating the malware. And like I said, doing forensic level wiping. And collecting it first. So, we talk about return on investment, and please, I implore you guys to, whatever tools you have, I don't care if you have NCASE, I don't care if you have, Blue Coat, I don't care what it is that you have, but take advantage of what you have. And if you don't know what you have, hire somebody to come in, like these blue teams and red teams, to look at what you're doing, to give you assessments. What should you be doing? I've heard a lot of questions in these talks about how should we do this. A lot of good suggestions, a lot of good information sharing going on, and these conferences are really good for this. I heard a couple statements from the previous talk about sharing information, talking to people in other companies. And, I ask you guys, please do that. Get on get on Twitter, go to your local chapters of the ISC Squared, talk to everybody, find out what's going on, find out what's changing, what are they seeing, what are the trends, how are they doing it? Because then you can come back to your company, take the tools that are sitting there now, like I said, I don't care the brand name, and put them to work. Get trained. Figure out how to do this stuff. Because basically my future is in your hands. You guys are all defending critical infrastructure. I don't care if it's a bank. I don't care if it's a credit card company. It's all up to you guys. And my information is in your hands. So I have a key stake in this to make sure that you guys are doing this defense and using the tools properly and getting trained. Make sense? That's pretty much what the point I wanted to get across today. Anybody have any questions or anything they'd like to talk about? Go ahead. It absolutely is. So we're not actually pulling full memory dumps. We're basically pulling the metadata about what's in that memory dump. So we're not pulling it over the wire. Something that we kind of, there's been a lot of debate over agents on the endpoints. Everybody's got 1 million agents, and it's burning up the endpoints. So we've always in the past, we've had what's called a passive agent, sits there quietly, doesn't really do much until you call upon it. So, which is a good thing. But we came out with this new thing this year called the active agent. I don't like calling it the active agent. I like calling it the passive aggressive agent. It seems more fitting to me. So basically what this thing has the ability to do is be mindful of your network. So you want to collect all this volatile data, but you don't want to be ripping the network apart. We give you the ability to save that thing locally. also with endpoints that are off the network, so maybe your road warriors or something like that, I give you the ability to save all that volatile information in a folder of your choice, encrypt it all, and then when they come back, being able to send that up and review it. So a good use case for that is, I was getting a lot of asks for this use case. So you're in charge of your network. One of your C-levels says, hey, I'm going to be traveling to China on Friday. I'm going to be off the network, but I'm going to be using my laptop. That scares the crap out of all of you, right? So basically what you can do is you can set that thing to start snapshotting that machine every minute while he's gone, and then when he comes back, bring all that in and delta everything. You can see it'll highlight everything that's changed on that machine, and then you can make good decisions from there of, do I need to rip and replace? Can I remediate? Is something bad on the machine? So again, saving you money, saving you time. You know, we all know that we have all these great policies in place in our environments, but sometimes C-levels like to kind of skirt those policies and they don't like to go by those policies. Hopefully there's no C-levels in here that I offend today. But this is a good way to get value out of that. So, any other questions? All right, that's all I got. Go drink some beer.